Welcome to TinkerzLab and information on my setup on the Radiolink SU27 micro park jet, and that is just one fun little plane. This is the second plane that I'm aware of that Radiolink has developed and put to market. And both of their planes so far have been absolutely fantastic. I have a blast with it. I did need to adjust the linkage on mine to get it handling the way I wanted to. And this is going to be with the setup is with a 2S LiPo, the stock 2S LiPo that comes with it, and also the stock transmitter. And I wanted to see if I could get the plane flying the way I wanted it to fly and the way I wanted it to handle without having to modify any of the settings in the transmitter. So if you get the ready to fly version with the stock transmitter, or if you already have the transmitter, this I didn't change anything in the configuration for the stock transmitter. Everything is at its default settings, and I have it flying and handling just the way I want it to. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at my setup file here. All right, so as I've stated in some of my flight videos, this is the very first factory micro park jet that I have flown that checks all the boxes, guys. You know, the other ones either weren't that stable, they didn't have enough power, the gyro was limiting it, what you could do with it. This is the first one that I have flown, checks all the boxes. Okay, so as I stated, this is set up using the stock 2S LiPo and the stock transmitter. However, the Radiolink R8XM receiver that it comes with, you can buy into it with a multi-module transmitter. So if you have a 4-in-1 module in your transmitter, you can bind to this just fine using Radiolink Air. I have a lot of the Radiolink receivers, not just the R8XM, but the R8FM, the R8EF. I have several different Radiolink receivers that I have bound up to with my TX16S. Okay. All right, on the control linkage, it's just elevon. There's no rudder. There's no aileron, there's no elevator control. It's aileron and elevator mixed. Okay, so the aileron control horns, it's 4-hole control horn. My linkage is in the outermost hole. Same thing with the elevator control horns. 4-hole control horns, linkage is in the outermost hole. Now on the servo control arms, when I received mine, the linkage stop on that was located in the outermost hole on the servo arm, so I had the greatest amount of swing. And that's a 3-hole control horn. I moved mine to the very top hole on that 3-hole servo arm, and that's where I like it for smooth controls, to where it's not too responsive for me, because I'm not soft on the controls. But fly it with the default setup first. If you're really soft on the controls, you may like it set up the way it is by default. But if you find that it is too responsive for you the way it is for me, then move that linkage stop from the bottom hole to the top hole on the servo arm and see how well you like that. Okay. My deflection of the control surfaces is measured in manual mode, full manual mode, on the gyro. And I measure the movement of the control surfaces opposite of where the control horn is located. So on the ailerons, with my setup, I get a deflection of 10 millimeters up and 10 millimeters down. And on the elevators, I get 14 millimeters of movement up and 14 millimeters of movement down. The rudder, of course, is not applicable because there is no rudder on it. The CG was not specified. At least I couldn't find a specification for the CG location. So what I did was I put the stock battery in it, and I measured where the plane balanced with the stock LiPo in it at a neutral balance, and I marked that. I marked it in a location that was easy for me to get my fingers up underneath the wing and balance the plane to make sure that the plane stayed level when I balanced it. So the location that I marked is 28 millimeters out from where the air inlet starts, and then 22 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wing, and that's where I measure my CG with the neutral balance, because I'm going to be using different LiPos in it. And so some of the LiPos will be a little bit lighter, some of the LiPos will be a little bit heavier. So I wanted to make sure that I could get the same balance on the plane every time that I put a battery in it. Okay, the launch throttle, so I found that 75% on the throttle with just a slight upward angle when you release it, just a moderate chuck, and the plane takes right off, no problem whatsoever. Okay, so that's my setup file for the mechanical portion of it. And I'll show you some slides so that you can see what the actual linkages look like here. So, okay, so let me maximize this. Isn't that a fantastic looking little park jet? I highly recommend it. It's a great flying little plane. All right, so what we're looking at here is the servo arms, and as you can see, I moved the linkage stop from the bottom hole to the top hole. Now, you can see that the bottom hole is drilled out, okay, because the holes that are in that servo arm are too small for the pin on the linkage stop. And if I remember correctly, that's 2 millimeter. That shaft, that little shaft on the linkage stop is 2 millimeter diameter. So you're going to have to bore that hole out in order to get that linkage stop moved to a different hole. And I'll go over that in just a minute. And here is the, excuse me, the aileron control horn. That was the default position when I received the plane, outermost hole on the control horn for the aileron. And then this one is the elevator. It's got another linkage stop in it. That was the default position for the elevator control horn as well, was the outermost hole. So I found by adjusting where the linkage is located on the servo arm itself, that was the only adjustment that I needed to make. Okay, so one of the things I want to go over was the alarm beep codes. You've got several beep codes. It monitors the battery voltage in the transmitter. It monitors the RSSI signal between the receiver and the transmitter. And then it also monitors the battery voltage in the aircraft. Now, what I read in the manual was for the T8S, which has an internal battery, you cannot modify the alarm for the transmitter voltage, and I believe that's 3.7 volts per cell or 7.4 volts for the 2S pack. I think with the T8FB full-size transmitter, I think you may be able to adjust that, but I can't swear to it. Also, the R8XM and the stock transmitter that comes with it, it says the telemetry range is the same as the control range, 4,000 meters. So that is fantastic, and it supports up to a 6S LiPo. So if you guys are looking at putting that receiver in a different model, it has an excellent range on it, and it's nice to know that the telemetry can reach out just as far as control range, because a lot of receivers cannot do that. Your telemetry range is usually a lot shorter than the range of your receiver. So that's something to consider. Plus the fact you can use a 6S LiPo with it for telemetry on that. Okay, so I was talking about the low transmitter voltage alarm. So if the battery gets below, and I believe it's 7.4, yeah, they've got it right here, 3.7 volts per cell, or 7.4 volts for the pack, it's going to beep 4 times, and it's going to beep quickly, and it's going to beep continuously, because you're not going to recover any voltage on your transmitter, so it's not going to stop beeping. So when you hear that, you know that your transmitter battery is low. So I would suggest at that point you land your plane. The low model voltage alarm, 3 beeps as a unit continuous beeping prompt. I got that on mine. And one thing that I am going to change on the setting on the stock transmitter is the alarm for the flight battery. I have not done that yet, but I will do that soon. And I think, because the batteries will recover. I'm in the throttle really heavy part of the time, and so it pulls the battery voltage down. So I think what I'm going to do, if I can, is set that battery voltage down to like 3 volts per cell. because you know that if you pull it down to 3 volts per cell, you know that it's going to recover. Once you get off the throttle, it's going to recover somewhere around 3.2, 3.3 volts, per cell. So I would rather the alarm not go off, until my recovery point got below that. So that's what I'm going to try and set mine to. Low RSSI alarm, you get 4 beeps as a unit, continuous beeping, but not the rapid beeping that you get with the transmitter alarm, okay? And if the receiver detects a low voltage on the receiver itself, you'll get 5 beeps. So I wanted to make you guys aware of that, because those beep codes are, important. All right, so let's look at the next one. This is 2 tools that I wanted to introduce you to that I have myself. I will have links to these in the show notes. But one is a pen vise. It's a handle pen vise. Here's mine. It's the exact same one you see in the picture. It has a nice steel collet on it, not a plastic one. And this will hold everything from, I think, a 0.5 millimeter drill bit all the way up to a 7.5 millimeter drill bit. Now the set of drills I'm showing you here, the drill bits I'm showing you, are metric, and they're 1 millimeter to 6 millimeter, but they're in 0.5 millimeter increments. So you got a 1, a 1.5, a 2, all the way up to a 6. And believe me, those come in handy for doing things like boring out the holes in the control horns, boring out the holes in the servo arm, like I showed you for the linkage stop that you're going to need to do, and these are super cheap. So that's my pen vise, and you can use screwdriver bits and Allen wrench bits and stuff in that too, not just drill bits. And then I've got my 1 to 6 millimeter metric bits in my pack right here. So I have both of those. I've been using those for 2 or 3 years now. I wanted to introduce you guys to those. I'll have links to them in the show notes. They are a couple of things that are really good to have in your toolkit, not only for this hobby, but for other crafts too. So keep that in mind. All right, so we're back to the beginning. Let me go ahead and minimize this. And then I just now want to bring up my text file. This is all the information that I put in the show notes, guys. So if you take a look at the show notes, you will find all this information. And I provide information like this for every video that I publish. So at the top, you'll see that I have a link directly to the SU27 Park Jet. I also have a link here because Radiolink makes some really nice video tutorials for all their products that I have used myself. I have gone to their site to watch their tutorial videos. So they've got a video here on how to download the application to manage your transmitter, whether it's a T8S or the T8FB that comes with the SU27. And they have an Android or an Apple application you can download and install, and they show you how to do that. Then they show you how to set up your low voltage alarm for your flight battery. There's a video for that. Then there's also, and your RSSI, and then there's a video that shows you how to adjust the transmitter voltage supply, the voltage in your transmitter battery, how to adjust that parameter. So there's a lot of good stuff in there. Also in the show notes, right here is the link to the pen vise I just showed you, and here is a link to the drill bits that I showed you. And I've got links to all kinds of stuff below that. But there's also a link in here to the TinkerzLab Amazon page, where I have a page that has all this craft and hobby stuff all in one spot. So if you want to do some window shopping, go there, because this is all items that I have purchased and that I have used, or it's items that I have in my wish list that I would like to purchase if I could afford it with my budget. So take a look at that. You might find some other, I know you'll find some other things that are going to really help you besides this pen vise and besides those drill bits. So take a look at that too. Anyway, that's my setup on the plane. It works excellent with the default settings on the transmitter. The only thing that I'm going to change, like I said on the stock transmitter, is the flight battery voltage alarm. That's the only thing I'm going to change. So anyway, thanks for watching. That's a wrap on this episode. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the next episode.